Camper will be on, and if he does come on, there's no way for me to know if I have everybody muted out. So let's try to keep the background noise down to a dull roar, and then this way we can hear Mr. Blumenkemper if he happens to join us. It's a little bit early out there on the West Coast, but I do know that Marcus is on with us. Marcus, you're a winner, buddy. Getting up early and getting on the call. Okay, so I think I am recording. I just want to double check, sorry. Yep, I am recording. And I got one. Good morning, Jeffrey Manns. Jeffrey Manns is in the house. Okay, you guys can hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, good. The magic of compound building. We have a big agenda today. We're going to talk about the power of one and the power of one more. Recruiter's mindset, building your business, taprooting. We're going to talk about finding the pony, marketing versus sales, how to increase your business by 80-fold. Think about that. Targeting health insurance agents, and $1 million idea. We did talk about this week doing IUL's fees and expenses. What I decided to do instead is I had posted a video in our Facebook group. Looks like this. It's under the register for Saturday. You just click on that little button right there. It's about 45, 50 minutes of, what's the guy's name? Doug, I forget Doug's last name, but Doug is talking. Doug does a great job of conceptualizing how the fees, charges, expenses, and loads work in an IUL. And I thought that would be a good primer, and next week we'll go into depth and show exactly how that fits in to Anico. And so it'll be a really good homework is to watch that between now and next Saturday. By the way, I hope that you have your notebooks, your pens, you're ready to take notes, and we're going to launch right into it. Okay, so the power of one and the power of one more. Remember, you're only one recruit away from having a major explosion. Everyone is all the time. A recruiter's mentality is a recruiting all the time thing. It's a state of mind. You're looking for quantity to get quality. It always cracks me up when folks say, well, I just want to recruit a certain type of person. I don't know how you can do that. Remember, every person is a recruit until proven otherwise. Avery and I had a couple of experiences where thought the guy wouldn't probably be interested and so on. I hit the recruiting button 100% of the time. The worst that could happen is they're flattered. Actually, the worst that could happen is you miss the biggest thing that could have happened to your business, right? Because maybe it's not just them, but it's who they know. So when somebody says to me, I only want to recruit people with a certain mindset or a certain this or that, I have seen folks in this business, $1 million producers that used to be migrant farm workers. I've seen social workers, folks that couldn't speak English and developed into multi-million-dollar. One guy in particular, 15, 20 years ago came to this country from Vietnam, couldn't speak English, was a social worker, and has produced $1 billion, with a B, $1 billion in commission revenue. Could you imagine missing out on that guy because you just, whatever our own prejudices or something like that that would just be silly to me. So the tendency of a weak builder is to recruit them and then train them. Yeah, training is an ongoing thing and always will be and so on, but the builder mind says recruit them and then build them a team. Now, when we say build them a team, we're talking about building them a business, right? Because if you have a license and you're out there making sales, you're really just a salesman, right? You don't really have a business. You're chasing after sales and so on. You have teams. Now you have a business. Now, regardless of whether you show up to work or not, your business is producing you revenue and income. And there's a lot of great motivating reasons for us to do that, not only for the new person, but also for us. So keep that in mind when you're building your business. We are in the people building business. We're not in the insurance business. Or I don't think I am. I'm in the people business. And you must really see yourself as a leader of thousands of people. Stretch your mindset. thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of people. Is that possible? Absolutely. Absolutely. And the two main objectives is to build a large network of consuming and producing outlets. In order to max out our profits, we need to go wide and we need to go deep, and we need to go wide and deep. And a lot of times when you're going deep, you're locking folks in. When you're going wide, you are increasing your profitability. You are increasing your chances of success every time you go wide, every time you go deep. You want to build it 3 times. Once in your mind, on paper, and then build it. What's it going to look like when it's done? What's it going to look like in 3 years, 5 years? Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. What is that end? You know, most business owners today, when they go into business, they don't have an exit strategy. Now, I'm not saying that I'm ever probably going to ever retire from the business. As long as I'm healthy enough and my mind is there, I can do this business from anywhere with a phone and an internet connection, right? But build it on paper. Start stretching your mindset and thinking about how your business is going to look like. You know, the magic in taprooting is absolutely incredible, and we see a couple of good taproot examples with Jeff Manns, Fred King, Arlene Palkert, Dominic, now Billy, and of course on that team is Carlo and Marcus, and that leg just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper. What happens is sometimes you'll bring in a few people in between here, and maybe they were motivated before, but they ran into some problems or some obstacles or whatever, and they lost some of their motivation. Well, you dig down deep into that leg, and you will find the fireball. You know, you've probably heard me say this before, and I keep drilling it and drilling it. It was drilled into my head, and I'm going to drill it into your head on some of these things, right? A recruit isn't a recruit until you have a recruit. In other words, they're not really in the business. They kind of have a sales license, if you will. They haven't started building a business until they have teams. And a leg is not a leg until it's at least 4 deep. So when you're looking at your teams and looking at your legs and saying, wow, I've got these stubby little stump things that look kind of like legs, but I got to make them grow. So focus on building them and building them deep. You're going to be doing great things for yourself and great things for your teams. Here's the power of one, starting with you. And the idea is on Monday, you bring in a new person for that person, right? Or you bring in your first, then you bring in one for B, bring in B for A, C for B, D for C, E for D. You kind of got the idea, right? And keep going down deep. That's in the perfect world, right? So from Monday through Saturday, you've now built this leg 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 deep. How excited do you think these folks are going to be, right? How excited do you think you're going to be? By helping every person get just one, that's the power of one. Helping them just get one, you've just now built 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people on your team. Person A's got 5, B's got 4, 3, 2, 1. Kind of get the idea, right? You have at least 4 new sales and the potential for a fireball to pop out. We see another example of a great taproot leg up in Rhode Island. That's with Al Carty and Leo DeRoyne and Rick Panis and John James and John Amato and so on. Digging that leg deep, 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 deep. And, of course, that helps motivate everyone. And that creates the synergy as well, the synergy of the team. So recruit in bunches. When building, how can you tell who's going to make it in this business and who's not? Who's going to be good and who's not? The answer is you can't. I've never, ever been able to judge who was going to do really well and who wasn't. And every time I tried to guess, I was wrong. The people who are serious about winning and those who will just give it lip service, they all look alike. In fact, I find a lot of times when they look good, they smell good, they talk good, they poop out in the business. That's why I should be looking for a bunch of people, because there's no way to accurately judge a person. And we should never judge others, what they can do and what they can't do and where they are right now and where they'll be in 3, 6, 9 months, a year, 3, 6, 9 years from now, etc. No test has ever been designed that can measure the heart of a person. You never know what's inside of them. You never know how deep is their burning desire to succeed. If someone has a deep enough burning desire to succeed, they will overcome all obstacles and succeed. I want to tell you about the pony. A family had twin boys whose only resemblance to each other was their looks. They were opposites in every way. One was an eternal optimist, and the other one was a gloom and doom pessimist. So just to see what would happen on the twins' birthday, the father loaded the pessimist room up with every imaginable toy and game. And then the pessimist. The optimist, he put loaded with horse manure in his room. That night, the father passed by the pessimist's room and found him sitting amid all his new gifts and toys, crying bitterly. "Why are you crying?" the father asked. "Well, because my friends will be jealous. I'll have to read all these instructions before I can do anything with this stuff. I'll constantly need batteries, and my toys will eventually get broken," answered the pessimistic twin. Passing the optimist twin's room, the father found him dancing on the floor for joy in the pile of manure. "What are you so happy about?" he asked. To which his optimist twin replied, "With all this manure, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere." It's all in the way that we look at things. You know, a pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity, and an optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. And that's a quote from Sir Winston Churchill. You know, I think there's generally kind of two types of people, right? Those that identify and look and focus on problems, or those that identify and focus on opportunities. Which one do you think will give you a more fulfilling life? My feeling when it comes to bringing people on board is recruit them all and let God sort them out. You know, the Marine Corps motto, shoot them all and let God sort them out, kind of the same idea here. Now, here's what I will say is I will not recruit jerks. I do not want jerks in the business. My overriding consideration is this someone that I would have to my home for dinner? If the answer to that is no, then I don't push the recruiting button. If I don't like that person or they're a jerk or whatever, chances are pretty good that they're going to be a jerk in the business as well. It's, you know, one of the greatest benefits of being in our own business is we can pick and choose who we work with. Just because they can get a code number doesn't mean you necessarily have to spend time. I won't spend time with jerks, and I would encourage you not to do the same. The law of averages. So how do we overcome who's going to be good for the business, who's not going to be good for the business, and who they know, and so on? The only way to overcome the negatives of the law of averages is to harness the power of the law of high numbers. You recruit enough people, and, you know, it's called dud power. The person with the most duds, now, when I say duds, I don't mean as people. I mean they were just kind of duds in the business, right? They failed to launch. A firecracker, when you light it and it doesn't go off, you call that a dud, right? So they were duds in the business. The person with the most duds will win, because the person with the most duds also has the most studs because of the law of high numbers. With our business, you're allowed to, ordinary people can achieve extraordinary wealth, and you're going to see that just in a minute here when I show you some examples of what's possible. You don't have to personally sponsor many people to have teams in the thousands, right? You could recruit one person and they go out and recruit thousands. It's possible. Not likely, but it's possible. You do have to have a builder's mindset and recruiting all the time, always spotting opportunities. You do have to find a few people that will do the same and have the same mindset that you have, and you do have to get your folks to plug in. So congratulations for being on the call. You have passed, just by virtue of showing up and being here, you have separated yourself from the folks that don't plug into anything and don't show up. So how do you figure out who's serious in the business and where do you spend your time? Well, I would say initially for the first week, 10 days, 30 days, give everyone the benefit of the doubt. Now, you never give up on anybody, but you don't wait on them either. Spending hours and hours and hours on somebody who's really not committed or motivated or has the right attitude is not a good use of your time, okay? So where do you spend your time? There's filters that you can check off and go through and see where you should be spending your time. Are they eager to learn? Do they ask for help? Are they excited about the business? Or do you feel like you're constantly trying to drag them across the finish line? It doesn't work that way. You cannot motivate them. They have to be, you could lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink. But you certainly can salt its oats and make it thirsty, but you cannot do it for them. They're going to have to chip in and pitch in and help build their business as well. Do they have commitment, and do they show up? Do they show up on the Rise and Shine? Do they show up on the webinars? Do they show up for the training? Do they show up for the live meetings? Do they own the products? Are they true believers in our crusade and our cause and our products and programs and how life-changing they are? Do they have goals? Do they have ambition? Have they put together a list? Are they fun to be with? A lot of times, a lot of the folks on the team, Fred and Jeff and Billy and many others, we have fun. We joke around, we have a good time, and it's enjoyable to be in business with folks that are fun to be around. Are you fun to be around not only in the business but your family and the people? If you're constantly whining and moaning and everybody's got problems, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't take your problems to your upline. Never take your problems downstream, right? You never take them to your downline. You only go upline with your problems or your challenges, if you will, right? And then lastly, are they positive? You could either be a magnet that attracts or a magnet that repels. Positive attracts, negative definitely repels, because after a while it's like, oh no, here comes so-and-so, I'm sure they're going to be whining or complaining. Or on the other hand, hey, here comes so-and-so, they're always upbeat, fun, laughing, having a good time, they're happy sort of folks, right? As we move people through these filters, what we're really doing is three things. We're exposing them, we're involving them, and then we're upgrading them. And if you've noticed, we've started upgrading Arlene Palkert and her skills and her skill set by doing the presentation on Thursday night. And a lot of times it's like the camel in the tent. Maybe you've heard that story before. There's it's pouring on the desert, and the two camel herders are sitting in their tent, and the camel comes along and said, hey guys, it's really pouring out here. Do you mind if I just stick my nose in to get it out of the rain? They say, sure. And then the camel, a little while later, says, hey, you mind if I stick my head in, get it out of the rain? They said, sure, no problem. And then by inch, before you know it, the camel is inside the tent. We're inching and moving people forward and upgrading their skills, challenging them, drilling them for skill, drilling them for will, which is the most important thing. So a lot of times we'll get folks that will come into the business like Jeff Manns on a part-time referral basis, and we're always not pushing in a negative way, but we're asking and helping them to upgrade their skill set. All right, here's the power of one more. All right? Maybe you've seen that commercial on TV. It's for some sports drink. It's a bunch of athletes, and they're out exercising and so on. And one young athlete, just one more rep, one more exercise, one more drill. You want to be a champion. It's not just what you do. It's pushing for that just one more call, one more appointment, one more teammate on your team. And here's the power of two. Well, you go out and find two who find two. They find two who find two who find two. You got 60 people on your team. Well, remember, it's 10 team sales. 10 team sales per month is a six-figure residual income. Now, it's not you put 60 people on your team and next week you turn into a six-figure income. A little time for people to get licensed and trained and up to speed and so on. But I'd say that you got 60 licensed people on your team, that's easily a six-figure income override. But what if you did just one more? What instead of 2. Now I'm talking about you just did 2 and that was it. Now, the probability and the chances of that happening are not great. You increase your chances by doing more, but what if you just did 3? So 3 times 3, and they get 3, who get 3. Now you got 360 just by getting 1 more, and encouraging folks to just get 1 more. You know, if we had everyone on our team right now just get 1 more, we'd have hundreds of new people just by getting 1 more. And that will happen for you and eventually over time. And then it'll happen every single month. And the difference between 2 and 3, or 3 and 4, is the difference between 16 and 256. The difference is astounding when you look at it that way. So look for 1 more rep, 1 more call, 1 more appointment, 1 more exercise, 1 more practice, 1 more webinar, and encourage in a positive way, never in a negative way. All right, what's the difference between marketing and sales? Well, a sales team, they go out and they hire 10 people and they push them to sell 10, right? For 100 sales. It's a grinding machine where you're on a quota, you're out there pushing, and your sales manager is a tyrant, and nobody's really happy, and you know, all that stuff. A marketing team, on the other hand, would just as soon hire 100 people to sell just 1. Same result, isn't it? Isn't that 100 sales? And it fits a lot better for the part-time, sometimes spare-time folks, which we will have a lot of, and we love them. We love them dearly because that's what my team is being built on, is the part-time people. We will have those few that do a lot, right? But we're building the outlets and the distribution. By the way, if one person in this sales team up above gets sick, that's 10% of your sales. If one person gets sick or drops out here, it's 1/100th of your sales. And remember this, you know, a lot of times we'll talk to folks and they'll say, well, I'm the best salesman in the world and I can do this and I can spit further and dive deeper and come up drier, and they'll tell you how great they are and so on. Remember, any great producer can be replaced with 2 average producers, or 3 below average producers, or 5 spare time people. And the nice thing about that is the part-time, spare-time folks, etc., they love the business, they love us, they love making the extra money. They're not prima donnas as well. So we don't necessarily want to focus on building sales teams. We want to focus on building distribution. And that's the difference in our business between sharing versus selling. And you don't need to have great sales skills if you're good at sharing. And when we do internal consumption with our team and our teammates, you're going to find there's a huge difference in the sales process between selling something to someone who's on our team, who's eager to learn, in the licensing process, plugging into the training and webinars and so on. Think about the prospective client has gone through hours and hours of training and understanding and read books and gone to classes and so on, and they understand our product really well. There is no sales in that process, right? You don't have to be skilled in order to do that. You don't have to be the slickest salesperson in the world to make it. Now, if you're in the sales business, you better be really good at sales and closing and all that other stuff, which most people don't really like and resist anyway. And when it's part of the training process, a lot of times I'll even have my trainees fill out the applications. I'll have them do the illustrations. Try to do that with, and follow up with the programs and so on. And you can't do that kind of stuff with non-associates or agents in the business. And remember, we're sharing, not selling. Here's the idea. I show you what I have. If you like it, you buy it. Right? If you don't, you don't. See you later. I talk to people who want to listen. I recruit those that want to be recruited, and I sell to those who want to buy, right? All right, here's our distribution, and I want you to think about how this works. If you wanted to move Coca-Cola bottles, right, you could go out and put vending machines out there. And every time, think about this, every time you put out a vending machine, bottles would come out, right? our business is we can turn these bottles, or customers, if you will, into vending machines where they now go out and they can market and sell the product. Now think about how that distribution system works. It is a relentless inevitability that you go out, and if every bottle turned into a vending machine, how fast do you think you could inundate an area, right? We don't have to pay for the overhead. We're not paying for the office. There is no salaries or cars or any of that other stuff. The traditional industry cannot compete with this model. You have to agree with that, right? Because they would have to go out, hire managers and offices and secretaries and staff and phone systems and train them, and then some work out and some don't, and some make some. Here, our program, every single agent that comes into the business not only is the consumer of the bottles, but now is a distributor of the bottles. And that's the way to look at our business, right? It's a relentless inevitability. You keep working at it, it will happen. Okay. On our website, Freedom Equity Group Leadership Call every Tuesday at noon. Last Tuesdays is still up there until they record another one, which will be on Tuesday. It's still up there. In fact, I think you can even go back and go previous weeks. But the first call on there is last week's call. I'd encourage you to listen to it because it was a wonderful call, one of the best I've heard the company do. Great training, which I'm going to talk about. And you get to hear the wonderful Jeff Manns being recognized again for being the national leader, number one. Remember, there is only one number one. He was number one in the entire country for annuity sales, personal annuity sales production last week. Everyone, the crowd goes wild, right? Hey! Way to go, Jeff. Proud of you, buddy. Now, so go back and listen to that call because there's great training on there as well. On that call, the author of the book, Showing Up to Play, Business and Life Lessons Learned on the Golf Course. I ordered the book through my Amazon One-Click. If you don't have an Amazon account or an Amazon One-Click account, I would highly recommend getting it because it just makes it real easy. I go to Amazon, click, 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 and the book is here in 3-4 days, right? And here's a guy who spent a lifetime in our business, in the insurance business, hugely successful, and he wrote a book. For $13, you can learn what he took him 30 years to learn by reading his book. I don't know why you wouldn't do it, okay? I want to read a quote from the book, which I loved. In my business life, I have also had to persevere through what seemed to be hurricanes at the time. Maybe some of you feel like you're going through life storms right now. People meet me today and tell me that I'm a natural. Remember, this guy is usually successful now, right, in the insurance business. But the reality is that I actually quit 3 times during my first 4 years. Now, I'm not talking about mentally quitting, feeling inadequate, or only giving half of what I could do to the job, but I'm talking about running back to my familiar comfort zone in the construction industry and leaving my job in insurance behind. Each time I quit, the emotional and personal toll of all these failures was like a tidal wave, yet somehow I managed to go back and try it again until it finally clicked for me. In a sense, I'd weathered the storm. I promise you, you will have storms. You will have days where you are like, what the heck am I doing in this business? When I talk with Jeff Manns, I say, a lot of days it feels like we're making 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. And sometimes we make 2 steps forward and 5 steps back. But as long as you're inching down the field and moving forward and never giving up. Starting and stopping is, I can tell you from firsthand experience, that, over the last 25 years, I have never really quit or stopped, but I went into other things and was doing other businesses and so on. And I look at the people that I know, my peers at the time, that stuck with it and continued in the insurance business and the financial industry, and they're all millionaires, okay? They're all multimillionaires. Now, the good news is you can make up for a lot of lost time really fast, and I plan to do that, of course, but starting and stopping, I would encourage you never to do that. Remember, never quit. The only losers are the quitters. Quitters never win, and winners never quit. That, by the way, that last quote is of Vince Lombardi. I love this. Never, ever give up. Take a look at that picture. Take a look at the frog holding on to that bird's neck, right? So you would think if you were a frog and you were stuck in that position, what would most people do? They'd give up. Look at that frog holding on for dear life, right? That's kind of the attitude, the mental mindset, the picture that you want to have in your mind. All right, on the call from this book, Showing Up to Play, this gentleman was talking about the similar ideas as GoForNo. And here's the idea, and I want you to listen to the call as well. But when we walk, and we're in the mall or we're shopping, right? Usually what happens, we walk in and the sales clerk comes up to us and says, "May I help you?" And what do you usually say? "No, I'm just looking." Well, 10 minutes later you're saying, "Man, I wish there was somebody here to help me. I can't find my size or my color or my this or my that or whatever," right? And unfortunately, they don't know how to approach contact, etc. in most retail sales, right? And on the other side is they don't go for no. They take the first no and they just disappear, right? That's what most people do in sales and marketing. Our reaction as consumers is we don't ever want to be sold stuff, but we do want to buy. And our first reaction is always no. No, 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 no. It's just a knee-jerk reaction. And we've talked about GoForNo and trained on this before, but what was talked about on the conference call is a way to use this for getting appointments, okay? Now, let me just talk about this here. 92% of all salespeople give up without the fifth no, right? Because no, 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 no. Research shows that 90% of all consumers say no 4 times before they finally say yes. Amazing, right? Most people get one no and they give up. If you're not being rejected at least 3 times a week, I think it really should be 3 times a day, you're not really trying, okay? So keep going for no. No, 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 until you get 10, 12, and then get some more, right? Can't hurt you. No one, as he said on the call, no one's going to show up to your house and kill you. It's not as bad as you might think. As a matter of fact, after a while, you start to you like it. You know, you change your mindset on the word no. My computer. Oh, okay, there we go. So here's the idea with making calls to make appointments. Is when you go for the appointment, usually the first thing is they'll say no. And what he does is he said, "Great, I'll make a note of that." And then he just continues on. And then he gets another objection or another no or another reason why not to do it. And he ignores it. And he says, "Great, I'll make," and he said a lot of times what it is it's even a different reason, a different smoke screen. And he says he will take at least 3 no's when asking for the appointment. Now, when asking for the appointment, he also says, "I will make you 3 promises. Promise number one, I'm not going to try to sell you anything. Promise number 2 is I'm only going to stay for 20 minutes, not 1 minute more. Number 3, if you don't think this is as life-changing as I do, I will never bring it up again." Now, that one tip right there could increase your business by as much as 80%, taking 3 no's when going for an appointment. Jeff Mans, are you there, buddy? Are you in a position where you can speak? All right, let's talk about target markets. Last week, our target markets, we talked about real estate agents. We talked about showing real estate agents how they could make 2 or 3 commissions instead of just 1, as well as mortgage brokers, as well as property and casualty agents. There's only 180,000 real estate agents in the state of Florida. Huge market, right? We also talked to real estate agents about how they could turn their competition into a profit center. And that's a great pattern interrupter, right? As Jacob Belt has said. And in other words, it gets people to change their minds a little bit, have a paradigm shift. So where they're saying, "Did you just say turn my competition into a profit center? What do you mean by that? Getting the ball started and rolling. Well, this week, we're going to talk about health insurance professionals. We're all about spotting opportunities and jumping all over them. You know, with the Affordable Care Act, a.k.a. Obamacare, this is a huge target market. There are folks that have been in the health insurance business for 10, 20, 30 years or more, building up client bases, and now they're worried, and many of them are looking to diversify or get out of the health insurance business completely. They generally have a life and annuity license, so they're already licensed. They have large client bases where they could go back and sell and resell our programs and products. They have skills, right? They've been doing it, many for 5, 10, 20, 30 years. Taking a census is one of the, in the health business, basically it's a list, right, of all the employees and some info about the population of people that work there and so on. And they're worried. They're dissatisfied and worried about what's going to happen in the future. Reductions in commissions, reductions in renewals, and the navigators for the health insurance program and what that's going to do to the agents in their business. This is from a webinar that I grabbed from the Anico website. That's ing.anicoweb.com. On that website, there is a ton of information on that website. Get familiar with it. There's forums and calculators and webinars and so on. And what this webinar was talking about is the opportunity for health professionals to transition into our market. Now, this says the pension market, and it could be very well the pension market, and maybe that's how we open the door with them, but it could also be the non-qualified stuff. This past week we did a seminar for CPAs, and most of the time we talked about non-qualified plans and programs, like 162 bonus and Section 79 and many of the SERP programs, the Supplemental Employee Retirement Plans, and that whole world, right? There's two worlds out there, the qualified and the non-qualified, and sometimes we'll put some in the others and one in the... Here's the thing, you don't have to be an expert on this stuff, all right? In fact, you don't have to be an expert at all to recruit somebody who's in the insurance business. And they don't have to be an expert in order to make money doing this. All they have to do is fill out a questionnaire. This is what it looks like from American National Insurance. Right? By the way, American National, multi-billion-dollar, 100-plus-year-old company with an unbelievable pension back office and help and support. And this is kind of what it looks like. Check the box, right? You don't have to know anything about anything. What business income, is it variable, employee turnover high, etc.? What sort of a plan do you have? And then this is what a census looks like. What are the date of births of your employees and how much do they make and how many owners do you have and how much do they own and what's their salary and so on. Probably take them about 20 minutes to fill something like this out. We are targeting the small businesses, 25 employees or less. Nobody out there is targeting those markets for this. The big companies are going after the big companies. What type of plans do we offer? We got it all. All of the qualified, all of the non-qualified. Everything from defined benefit, profit sharing, safe harbor, 401ks, takeovers, IRAs, SEPs, etc. You do not need a securities license to do this. All you need is an insurance license. Why? Because we are working with a sophisticated investor, and that's the insurance company. It's a specific carve-out when we use life and annuities inside qualified plans that we don't have to be. It's called a non-registered product. Just to give you an idea, what's a 412E3? 412E3 is a defined benefit pension plan. Sometimes folks, when they ask me what is it that I do, I say, well, I do insurance and pension plans. And you could use that as well, right? Now, this plan, if properly structured, can assist people in their 50s and 60s to fund more than $50,000 per year and as much as up to $300,000 into a qualified plan. Now, If you've been on our program and been in our training and been in our classes, and especially if you've been through the CPE for CPAs, you know that there are better ways to do things than with qualified plans. But what we have an opportunity to do here now is to open the door for those that maybe are considering one, and we may move into the non-qualified area with them, and or whatever, right? So those that have existing plans, we can take them over what huge rollovers those are, right? And the opportunity, that with American National, by the way, everything from funding, plan design, administration, investment, the whole thing is in one package, and they are the third-party administrator. So the opportunity here in a takeover or all of that other stuff is just by referring it in and doing that fact finder. And then we have the very smart and capable folks. Some of these guys have more degrees than a thermometer, right, who are sitting in the home office just waiting for us, and we make those sales. Those rollovers and additional sales are absolutely tremendous. And one of the reasons for that is there's been some changes in the tax law that most CPAs, absolutely very few business owners even know they exist, where if they have an existing plan, their plan design probably is wrong, and we could greatly enhance their plans because of these new tax laws, okay? Administration costs for American National is one of the lowest out there. They're looking at a $450 installation on these plans. And as I said before, these are non-registered contracts, so you don't need a FINRA licensing. You don't need the securities deal. Massachusetts and Connecticut are a little bit different, but for all the other states, you can do it just with an insurance license. And the plan design, without the right plan design, the investment return doesn't really mean much. Big part of the puzzle, and there's been a lot of changes in that. You can see some of the credentials that some of these guys have, just sitting there waiting for you. They put it together, they design it, they call the customer, they they implement, they administer, they follow up, they train you, they educate you if you want to be, or you can just refer that in. All right, so how do you approach a prospect, and what is it that you say? Every business entity can have some type of plan, right? And the possibilities are endless. You can mix and match these qualified plans. You can mix and match the non-qualified. And I'm not trying to make anybody experts on any of this stuff. I'm just saying this is the opportunity that's out there. And the opportunity, if you're recruiting and building teams, is to recruit people who have these existing client bases, right? So you don't even need to discuss, because you wouldn't even know where to begin to start talking about these plans. Just know that that universe of stuff out there is available, right? Qualified, non-qualified plans, etc. So at the initial stage, really what you need to do is gather a fact finder, send it to them, and let them come back up with the design and the ideas, and also implement the program. So a good question to ask folks is, have you explored the new options that may be available to you, since new legislation has really liberalized the rules for small business plans? Small business plans have changed dramatically in the last few years. So if you haven't had your plan reviewed or updated, or maybe you considered a plan in the past and it didn't work out for you, maybe now is the time to consider it. So I can give you a free look. Doesn't cost you anything to get another opinion. I can do a review. Probably take us about 20 minutes to fill out a form. We send it into the company, get a plan design back from them, and then run. And if you don't like the ideas, throw it away. Didn't cost you anything, right? But it could cost you a lot by not doing this. It may cost you a lot of money to not have a plan. And all I need to do is just get a census of your employees. If they do have a plan, we want to review it. Make sure they have the most efficient plan design considering most recent tax legislation. Updated legislation may mean that they need a new plan. If they do have a plan, I can give you a free review of your plan to ensure you still have the best plan for your situation. These are good little notes to write down, right? All I need is a census. It's costing you money if you don't have the right plan design that benefits you as much as possible. Process is real simple. Submit it. They come back with the program and implement it. They guide you through the whole deal, including administration. By the way, their TPA charges $0. Many TPAs take as much as 25 to 30% of our money. These guys, not only are they great at what they do, but they don't take any of our money. Okay? So the potential result for you in this market is life insurance inside defined benefit plans. You can do that. That's the 412E, right? Didn't know that you probably could do that, but you can. You can have life insurance and annuities inside a defined benefit plan or a qualified plan. You bring new ideas to the table that they've never heard of before. You know, when we did our CPA seminars, we're finding that the CPAs and tax preparers have no clue about this stuff, right? And that's another great opportunity for us, of course, to recruit them. They have big client bases as well, and they're in a position as the business advisor. The rollovers we talked about, and great reasons for all sorts of other business and referrals. Their personal plans and programs, estate planning issues, the rank and file issues as well. So the best time ever right now is the best time ever to be in the small business pension marketplace. You know, this is kind of an infographic on, you know, different things that are available. You know, be careful with some of this stuff because you get enough knowledge to be dangerous, right? You don't want to over talk a lot of it, but you kind of want to have some of the lingo. You know, have you heard of a solo K, a 401k, or a safe harbor 401k or solo K, or a Roth 401k, or, you know, having some of those little buzzwords around so that you can gather the information, pique their interest and curiosity, and move along. These are some of the non-qualified plans that we talked about. Again, the CPAs, the tax preparers, have never heard of these things. Top Hat plan. You know, we talked about the 419E welfare benefit. ESOP, ESO, LESOP, golden hellos, golden handcuffs, government-sponsored retirement arrangement, camouflage compensation. The universe of stuff out there, and you don't have to be an expert in this stuff in order to make money on it. Okay? Let's talk a little bit about the possibilities. Let's say that you recruit a health insurance agent, and they've been out there building a business for many years, and they have 500 clients. Well, you know that in a lot of these small business cases, the commissions are $50,000, $100,000 or more per case, right? That would mean out of 500 clients, we're looking at $25 million in commissions. Well, what if we worked with maybe somebody a lot smaller? They had 100 clients, and we were making $25,000 a pop. That's still $2.5 million in commissions. That's per health agency, per agent, right? What if you recruited 10 or 100 of those agents? What would that look like for your business? So here now you're becoming the broker, right? You spot the opportunity, you put together the health insurance agent with Freedom Equity Group, and Freedom Equity Group to the insurance companies, and it's a happy marriage, and by putting them together and putting the arrangement and the marriage together, you receive a piece and an override of the business forever. How nice would that be? In our war on poverty, right, you know, sometimes we talk about putting some additional arrows in our quiver, right, having some more tools in our toolbox. But in fighting the war on poverty, we're really, you know, we're assembling some really lethal weapons here, you know, comparing that to bows and arrows, to missile launchers and F-16 fighters and so on, right? And the idea is fire and forget, where you can refer that in, refer in the agent, refer in the client, and get paid on it and have someone knowledgeable know what they're doing. Now, you need to have the insurance license, of course, right? And then you get paid, and get paid really well to do that. So spot the opportunities that are out there in the world today. Hey, I wanted to see, I don't know if Mr. Blumenkemper was able to join us here this morning or not, but if he is, hey, Ron, are you there, buddy? Okay, Ron wasn't able to get on with us. I wanted to see if you guys got any questions. You guys got any questions or anything? How do you think we did today? You guys still with me?
We did a lot. A lot of information. I got pages and pages of notes. It's great. Thank you.
Thanks, John James. That's Doug Warren. That's right. I couldn't think of his last name. Doug Warren. Yeah, did a great job. And, hey, congratulations to Mr. Jeff Manns. Mr. Jeff Manns. All right. Anybody else?
Hey, Brian, will this presentation be up? I mean, towards the tail end with all this